Hello and welcome to the 10-7 Off Duty Podcast. My name is Andrew Straley, EMTP, and with me today is John Willison.
I have nipples. Can you milk
Milkles? Milkles. And Clyde.
I also have milkles.
Milkles. Can you milk me?
Challenge accepted.
I mean, there is such thing as male lactation, so it's possible.
We actually have the glands. Like, if you stimulate them enough, you can make a little come out.
Okay, if anything starts coming
They're
out
in
of my
there.
nipples,
They're just inactive.
if anything starts coming out of my nipples, I'm crying and calling a doctor.
And like
I'm
one in
calling in
1,000
sick for
guys
wherever.
is born with fucking actual milk producing.
I don't understand
Yeah.
what's going on. I'm leaking.
You know, I think I came up with my catchphrase for this intro
yeah?
stuff. Yeah. You can't fix stupid, but you can sedate it and intubate it. Well, welcome back, kids. We're glad you're here. It's nice to be here with all of you all in your ears.
Ears?
Well, I mean,
Their
audio.
ears. I thought you meant ours. Okay.
No. I'm talking to everyone out there.
Drew's just got a fetish for ears, guys.
Oh, ear fucking is
yeah,
great.
You got to put like a sheet between yourself and your headphones, otherwise it's gonna get dirty.
ASMR dirty.
Oh.
I'm glad somebody else knows exactly what ASMRs are.
Yeah.
We've talked about
Brain
we,
gasms.
Oh, yeah.
We've brought this back way too many times.
It comes back a lot.
It does.
I think we're secretly like obsessed with it, but we just don't want to admit it to ourselves.
Yeah. Well, see, the microphones are so sensitive; it just picks up every little thing that we can do.
Yes, it does. Actually, have you seen those microphones that have like two mics and then there's ears on either side of the mics? They're like multi-directional mics, so you can actually like start over here and then you like go over here, and it's to them wearing the headphones sounds like you're whispering in their left ear specifically or right. It's really creepy. Like,
Yeah, I've actually got like 3 different ASMR channels subscribed on my YouTube.
it doesn't do anything for me. I'm one of the people that it doesn't affect.
Honestly, it
kinda
makes me
sad.
fucking sleepy. So if I cannot sleep at night, I'll pop one on. I'll go right to sleep. Like I don't
Hell
even make
yeah.
it through. Like I don't do the talking ones. I don't like that. It's
You like the ones that are more like
like found
chick
out I like
clicking-
tapping of it at
click
night.
tapping on a phone with her fingernails and
Yeah,
stuff. Like,
I found out I like tapping.
I hate to say this, but that might be a sign of autism. Love you.
You know, I've been called worse
Here's my ASMR.
by my mother.
oh no! Don't do that.
That was his wiener, by the way.
Yeah, it's metallic.
That hurt.
He just mushroom stamped the mic.
Oh, speaking of that,
Oh,
I thought about. I don't even remember when we talked about this, but we had a conversation. This is pre-Clyde, so maybe we can throw him into this too. But it was, what's the most fucked up joke you've ever heard?
1800 PC. Pre-Clyde?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. 1800. We'll just go every episode is a year. Fucking. And so I named myself in our Facebook Messenger "Sex is like broccoli"
Yeah.
because that's my favorite dirty joke of all time. You
Okay.
say "sex is like broccoli" and they're like, "What?" And you go, "Well, if you're forced to have it as a kid, you don't like it as much as an adult."
Oh.
That's the worst fucking joke I've ever heard, actually.
The aristocrats.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I used to tell one every time. All right, I worked for a burger joint, and I was in charge of the grill. Well, every time they would bring a
You
new
were
guy
SpongeBob.
in, dude, I hate SpongeBob so much. And I actually was standing at the grill one day, and I just stopped because I worked at this restaurant or this fast food burger joint for 6 years.
Yeah.
And I just stopped one day. I'm like 22 at the time, and my boss looks over and she's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I hate SpongeBob." She's like, I know. And I was like, "I grew up to be SpongeBob." And she
like-
started cracking up.
Or just like this morning, my alarm went off, and I was ready.
No, every time they bring in some new kid, he'd be like 16, 17 years old. Be like, "Clyde, you're going to train him on the grill today." All right, cool. So I would always lead with the same dirty joke that if we had an HR, I would have gotten fired
Yeah,
so bad.
Well, dirty jokes are great because it tells you a lot about a person when you tell them a dirty joke.
Well, on top of that, I knew him like this kid is 17 years old. He's thinking about one thing, and I guarantee this is gonna make him remember how to.
Your penis.
Well, yes. No, that's how I'm like. All right, take the burger off the tray. It's like having sex. Crack him over the head, flat him out, and flip him over.
God. So, speaking of SpongeBob,
Never gonna have Steak and Shake the same way again.
I've said this before, I think, but this is why I'm going to hell is because every time like I run a seizure call, the only thing I can think is this part of SpongeBob's theme song, which is "Drop on the deck and flop like a fish."
Flop like a seizure patient.
Yeah. So, Clyde, you have a story. Apparently, it's going to put Waffle Stomp to shame.
Yeah. Okay. My mother-in-law sends me
Waffle Stomp
funny,
something?
weird shit all the time on Facebook Messenger, and this one I got, and
would be hell in a
I
regular shower.
lost my mind. I laughed my ass off. Evidently, there are teenagers in Indonesia.
Indonesia?
Yeah, that are taking tampons and pads, boiling them in water, and drinking it to get high.
Why?
I don't know.
Is there a
Evidently
chemical
it
in the absorbent
works.
stuff?
Are
or
they
something?
new or are they used?
Used. They'll find them in garbage cans. They'll find.
God.
Oh my god!
But
it
what
is-
makes it work? You'd probably be fine with a new one.
Hepatitis.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know if there's a
Indonesia?
chemical in the
Uterine lining.
Because surely, like, the
napkin?
ammonia and all that shit in the fucking piss wouldn't help.
God.
Well, honestly, that's the only thing. Evidently, they're using it to get high, so I have no idea what the fuck they're getting high on. Wow. So I don't know if it's a chemical in the product itself, or if it's from the blood, or what the fuck's going on. But now Indonesia is trying to pass a law where you cannot do that shit. I'm thinking
that shouldn't have to be a fucking law,
right?
And I'm thinking,
Right.
honestly, I hear this and I'm like, snorting condoms is not so bad, I guess.
Yeah.
This is what gets me
That
is
makes Tide Pods look like nothing.
okay. You would think if it was something in the tampon itself, they would just buy new tampons. So
Right.
it's got to be something in the blood.
Right.
But you're gonna get thick.
Yeah, you're gonna get thick. Get thick as fuck.
You know, and there was a shitty thing like what was
God.
it? Fucking like probably 8-9 years ago now, where high school students were soaking tampons in vodka and sticking them in places so that way they could get drunk while they're at school.
It's the same as butt chugging, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because like you absorb it completely differently, and like it goes straight to your fucking liver or something like that.
Yeah.
Or it bypasses your liver. I can't remember how it works. I think it's what it does is it bypasses your liver and you absorb it directly.
It bypasses your stomach and goes directly to your liver.
Yeah. Because like your intestines actually still are getting nutrients.
Well, I mean,
out of the
there's
food.
capillaries and everything
Yeah.
that are within your body. So basically, it's just.
But apparently, it's like ultra crazy dangerous.
Oh yeah. You can get alcohol poisoning
Like
quick
really
like that.
fast. Like a beer or two can give you alcohol poisoning.
You've pretty much just bypassed your body's own way of dealing with that.
Well, and not to mention the fact that like, what if you accidentally like rupture / like get a cut? Could you imagine having a cut inside your butthole?
Clyde has a really gross look on his face.
Did you just look up butt chugging?
No, I know
okay.
butt chugging was. I was looking up the article
Oh.
that she sent me.
Oh wow.
And
well, you have a baby. Have you ever like taken apart a diaper and gotten that stuff out of it and like got it wet?
no,
do
my
that.
kid usually takes care of that.
Do that. Okay, so get an old diaper, preferably one that he's grown out of or something.
Mhm.
Like if you got some ones laying around or something, you take it and you get like the first layer off, and then there's this like
Like the gel almost.
weird gel stuff, and then you get it wet, and it's like fucking kinetic sand basically. It's really weird. Yeah, it's like fun to play with. It's a weird
That's
thing
really
to say.
weird.
But yeah, I was just
Why do I have you people over?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Why do I do this shit?
You know what? He's
Why do I
talking
do
shit
this to
now, but as
myself?
soon as we leave, he's like, I got to go to Dollar General. I
gotta
need a
get a
diaper.
fucking diaper. It is
I'm going to cut my arm open, see if that works.
I mean, coagulated blood's probably about the same, so it's fine.
It might be a cheaper way to get bandaging.
Evidently, it's a hallucinogenic.
Wow.
Yeah, I was trying to find something in the article, like maybe
what
how
makes
it
it work.
works.
So
But
it's
yeah,
a chemical
evidently-
inside of there that is actually
Yeah.
also a hallucinogenic. So you probably have to boil it to separate the other shit
It's
that you
a-
don't want out.
feelings. It's a high feeling, euphoria, and a hallucinogenic.
Wow.
A minor hallucinogenic.
But the
I mean,
only thing
here's
is
the
you see
thing.
the only thing you see is pussy.
Here's the thing. I'm judging now, but if you would have told me that when I was 13, I would have bought a box. I'm not going to lie. I would have. I absolutely would have. I have actually tried the whole banana peel thing, which, by the way, doesn't fucking work.
I don't even
It
know
was
what
a,
it is.
it was a hoax. A guy invented the banana peel thing as a hoax to like prove that people will listen to anything, basically. And it worked so well that it got into the anarchist cookbook because he believed it too. And the placebo effect worked so well that like people fucking passed it around, and now people just assume it's true, but it doesn't actually do anything.
You know what the funnest placebo effect that I have ever actually used myself is? Do you know what pseudo seizures are? It's literally a term.
I can imagine.
Pseudo is false.
Yeah.
And seizure, you know what that
you
is.
basically give yourself a seizure?
No, but you trick yourself into thinking you have seizures, so you
Would
make
that be
yourself
like if
have
you're
a
like,
seizure.
I'm going to have a fucking seizure. I'm going to have it, and then you do it, right?
Yeah. So like I've had
Damn.
people before that
Pop filter attacked me.
it happened.
Hit me right in the fucking teeth.
I've had people
Shut the fuck
before.
up.
I've had people before that literally you get called for a seizure. They're seizing, quote unquote, but they don't have the blood pressure change, they don't have the pulse rate change, they don't have the breathing change. So
Is that different than if say you know that story you told about the kid that smoked pot and it freaked him out so much?
Uh-huh.
Like say if you were basically freaking yourself out and then because of your high stress levels had a seizure. That's probably different, right?
Oh yeah, because a true seizure, you're going to have high blood pressure, high pulse rate, and actually, technically, you stop breathing whenever you have a seizure,
Right?
Because it's your brain, the
all your
synapses
muscles,
in your brain.
all your muscles just constrict, right? So
Well, it's
your
no-
lungs are a muscle.
It's basically
controlled by muscles.
your brain synapses just kind of go crazy and crosswired.
Yeah.
So literally, that's what causes your muscles to do that. And if you use capnography, which is that. It'll tell you how much CO is in your lungs. It'll actually go.
Captain Geography.
It'll actually show you where they breathe, and then it'll show you whenever they stop when they're having the seizure.
Wow.
That's a lot of people who have like absence seizures, where instead of doing the whole tonic-clonic shaking stuff, they'll just like zone out and just start looking away at stuff. That's how you can tell if they're having a seizure at that time.
Huh.
But a pseudo-seizure is somebody forcing themselves, or at least tricking their mind into thinking they're having
Probably
one.
not on purpose. Who the fuck would do that?
Well,
to themselves?
some people have, and some people do.
I'm sure somebody has. Yeah. Why the fuck would you want to have a seizure, man? Jesus.
Attention, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
But I've actually done it before where I give them normosaline, which is just normal saline, which is the flush.
Uh-huh.
So like I'll start an IV, flush it, and then put it back on and be like, all right, I'm going to give him something here that's going to stop the seizure, and just give him like a couple of cc's of it, and they stop.
Right.
So,
wow, it
placebo
works really
effect.
well.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Oh yeah. Well, because like they've shown like tests where the placebo effect is actually like shrunk tumors. Like the placebo effect is really crazy. Like if you ever like look into it, like
The mind is
how
a
much
wonderful
your
thing.
mind can actually do. Like because they
There
did
was-
this test where they had like they told these cancer patients that they were testing out, and I think they actually were testing out like a cancer cure.
Right.
And the people with the control, the placebo, which is I think it was just a sugar pill, they actually showed the same or in some cases more tumor shrinkage.
That's weird.
There
Which
was
is fucking crazy.
I want to say they did some Vietnam or Korea, one of the two. They were having a problem with soldiers when they were getting injured. They were going to the MASH sites, the med stations, whatever.
Oh yeah.
They were getting hooked on some of the painkillers they were on.
Phonics?
No, they're getting hooked on the pain pills. So they ended up giving them sugar pills for a while there and telling them, hey, this is going to take the pain away. And
Well, because pain is only
it was
a thing that your brain is telling you you're having.
Exactly. It was like something like
makes
an
sense.
80% improvement or something like that, where they were not feeling the pain, but they also were not getting hooked on
that makes sense.
any painkillers, opioids.
I'm sure at some point they actually did have to use a painkiller initially.
Or start them off with
but then they would like give them
wean them off, like with the ratio gets smaller and smaller until you're eventually just taking the pain.
Because the military uses some crazy painkillers. Ketamine, Special K, as it's known on the streets, that's a big thing over there for painkiller.
Oh yeah.
There was I don't know if it was ketamine. You being an EMT, you probably know what I'm talking about. Evidently, it was supposed to be like something like 100 times stronger than cocaine or something like that. It was just a little pill.
Is this what they were using in cocaine? That was
no, it was.
That's fentanyl.
There was fentanyl. There you go. There was when I was in corrections, there was a not really an uproar, but there was kind of a pandemic. Maybe it was the correct word,
right?
Where every day during roll call for like a month, they would be like, hey, when you guys are searching people down, if they even have fucking dust in their pockets,
test that shit.
They cannot go in.
Right.
And it was
like visitors and stuff? Because they were fucking smuggling it in.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, well, that was the first time I had ever heard of it. And then they gave us a paper with the statistics. And at the time, I was trying to get in with the STG group, which is a security threat group.
Is that like in-house SWAT kind of almost?
No, that was I'll explain that in a second. But the STG group is basically I would be, if I would have been able to get involved in that, I would have been spending my day basically studying the different gangs and
right on
the drugs and seeing how they get in and out. It's basically kind of like a
task force,
kind of like a task force for IA,
right?
Almost, where we would have to be looking into strictly that kind of stuff. Like there were guys in corrections that, let's say I work in this prison, and then 300 miles away, they're seeing gang signs that they've never seen before. Well, they'd pull my ass and send me up there for the day. I'd drive up there and be like, oh yeah, that's because the Vice Lords and the Black P Stones are getting along now, and they and that's another thing. Just because two gangs could be fighting on the outside, they could be allies inside.
Right.
They're two different worlds.
It's a different ecosystem entirely.
Yeah, it's two different worlds, and a lot of people don't understand that. Like, just because something's happening outside doesn't mean it's happening inside.
But it probably does sometimes give you some hints about it.
Oh yeah.
That you were talking about the fentanyl thing. That's actually a big issue on the streets right now because fentanyl that we use is in the liquid form, but apparently in its solid form is super sketchy because even contact with it can put somebody into an overdose.
Really?
And
just skin?
Yeah.
absorption.
Yeah.
Jesus,
and they're fucking strong.
Basically, the shitty thing is that they are mixing it with heroin and cocaine now. Like they're cutting it with fentanyl, which I don't know why you would think fentanyl would be so much more expensive because it's a pharmaceutical drug.
Right.
So,
but if it's easier to make or something.
When you think about it, let's say the person's been coming back to you, and well, now you're like, you know what, I want them to buy more. Well, you give them a little bit of that shit cut with fentanyl. They've got even a higher hardcore addiction. They're going to come back for
that is a
more.
horrible business model because you can't kill who's buying your shit.
Right.
I'm just
I bet I know why it's cheaper, though. Because fentanyl is made in factories that are legal, and then you just got to get it somehow. But heroin is made in a fucking shady Colombian fucking shack somewhere. And it's got to be like transported across borders and all that stuff. It's probably a lot more expensive to get.
You remember how we
heroin.
talked? All right, so this is going to be kind of off, I guess. Have you guys ever run across an old school Playboy or something like that?
Oh yeah,
and
it's called childhood. When you're over 30.
I remember this.
Have you ever run across an old Playboy and in the back of them they used to sell, because it was I'm talking about 80s Playboys where they would have ads to buy these little bottles and little spoons that you would put your cocaine in if you were a fucking businessman. That's in the 80s.
I mean, they used to have rings that had fucking coke in them.
Yeah.
You just You know,
in the 80s, cocaine was like
it ran the fucking Wall Street.
Yeah, it was it was basically rich people drug, you know, and now it's like a poor people drug. So
which is weird. Well, and that's the difference between like crack and cocaine. Like crack has never been a rich person drug. Like crack has always been.
I am not sure what the difference between actual cocaine and crack cocaine is. I know the difference in how it's used.
Yeah, that is the difference essentially. But crack is less pure. Cocaine is pure cocaine. Crack is
dirty
fucking cocaine. And
dirty cocaine.
And they actually call it like dirt.
Really?
Like, give some dirt. Yeah.
Right. Black tar heroin.
Yeah. And also cocaine is like, I don't want to say natural, but it's more natural. Like you get it from like the coca plant and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whereas like crack is made from like chemicals and shit. So it's like artificially made cocaine basically.
Gotcha.
Which is why you have to use a different. You can't snort. If you snort crack, you're gonna fucking die. Like
you got some.
Which happens to some people, you know, like because they're stupid.
See, and
like in Pulp Fiction when she snorts heroin.
That's how like shit. Uneducated. Like I know that there is a difference, but I don't know what the difference is. That I'm like,
right.
I always thought that crack cocaine was just non-mashed up.
Well, the
cocaine.
hardest drug that you've ever actually done is pot, right?
Yeah, ever.
The hardest. I'm
gonna have to cut this out. This is gonna have to be an extra. I'm still looking for a job ticket.
I mean, you said that you hadn't. Oh yeah, I did include pot. What's the hardest drug you ever did?
Pot. I had to think about it.
I feel like a degenerate. I did meth for a month.
Oh God. Are you sure it was a month, or did you just think it was a month?
I might have.
It was a weekend.
I know that I did it twice actually, and once was at school, and then the other was at some dude's house, and then I was like, "This fucking sucks. I'm never doing this again."
You know what's really? I think this is kind of fucked up. Like, I know that I have focus problems, and I'm sure I probably should.
Oh, I did shrooms once. Sorry, I forgot.
I think meth trumps shrooms.
Yeah, I think it does. I feel like it does.
I mean, it tasted like shit when he tried it, but yeah. So like, I have trouble focusing anyway. Sometimes. So I'm sure that I should be on some sort of like ADD drug or ADHD drug or something like that. But
I don't know, man. ADD drugs suck.
That is literally
they can.
That is literally methamphetamine in a in a legal way.
Yeah,
I mean, shit. Well, I read somewhere Ritalin was originally introduced as a dietary drug. That's why you see a lot of kids, like especially early on, when they be automatically being prescribed Ritalin.
Oh yeah,
and then you'd see like these husky kids just shrivel down.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, why are they shriveling down? I'm like, well, they're just not hungry.
It shrinks your stomach. I think that's what it does. It shrinks your stomach and makes you
not
hungry.
It is literally like, if you look at the chemical makeup, it can be broken down into the same compound as methamphetamines.
Yeah.
So basically what you're doing is overdriving your system.
Yeah, and I know
how that makes you focus, I have never understood.
Crazy. Well, that's the thing too, because they tried to give me Ritalin when I was a kid, and I took it for about a year. But it just had like a really weird adverse effect on me because I didn't have.
Couldn't stop drooling.
I couldn't stop jizzing.
Did you get those things where your jaw would just move? Like, I don't know what you call them.
Oh, twitches?
Like a lockjaw thing almost?
Kind of,
but not quite?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did, actually.
Then that means you were misdiagnosed, and they were literally giving you meth.
Yeah.
There was,
that's the thing, because I didn't have ADHD, which Ritalin does work on. Like, even still, like, Ritalin, I think, is probably the best thing that they can give you now for ADHD kids. I just had ADD, where I wasn't hyper, I just couldn't focus.
Right.
Like, basically, there's just something in my brain that doesn't allow me to think about anything for that long.
Right.
You know, it's not because I'm like, I'm just
actually,
like,
that's how I
did not finish preschool because of that. When I was in preschool, my old preschool teacher, his name was Omar. I don't remember like a Mr. anything. It was just
cool.
Omar.
Good for him.
And
I like first name teachers.
And he was a really good guy. I liked him a lot. He was really cool. I mean, and plus when you see a preschool teacher, he was a male. He was a male preschool
That's
teacher,
unusual,
which
too.
is unusual. I mean, he was really
It's
cool.
usually very motherly women.
And he ended up, now I was raised by my grandmother, and she was very protective.
Right.
Well, when he told her, he was like, hey, you know, he's having a hard time focusing, and he is not reading at the level he should, because I could not read. Because
you couldn't care.
I just could not. I like, even like the little, like, see the dog run. Like all that.
Get
like,
on
shit,
with it already.
Like, I just could not give a fuck less.
Why is the dog not exploding?
Yeah. Now, I mean,
Also,
the only
why
reason
he's
I
got a bunch
don't
of
read
comics
is
in a
because I
box
have
at home.
Yeah. Now the only reason I don't read is because I have a 2-year-old. So yeah. Once you have kids, by the way, anybody
Reading
out
is
there
one
who
of the
doesn't
first
have
things to
kids
go.
yet, if you're a reader, hold off on children. You will not finish that book.
Or just get really into reading in the bathroom. Get a chapter in, wipe your butt, and get out of here. Like,
Or just wait until your legs go to sleep.
dude, my legs fall asleep literally every time I poop.
Because
I need a
I'm looking
squatty
at my
potty.
phone.
I need a squatty potty. Every time I get up, I like. It's weird. I don't know if this is a problem, but every time my legs fall asleep and I'm in the bathroom, I'll get up and I'll be like, all right, I'm done. And I'll walk out into the living room. And at that point, I get to the point where my legs are so pins and needly. So I have to stand there awkwardly in the middle of the living
So
room.
you don't start
And
laughing.
like mean mug my dogs because I'm like, if you fucking jump on my leg, I'm gonna use the other one to kick you across the room. I swear to God. Like,
No, you won't, because you'd be laughing too much.
yeah, and inevitably Ivy will be like, ha ha, and I'm like, yeah.
I hate that, dude. I fucking hate that.
Let's be honest, though, man. They're going to take your ass down. Now who's really in the advantage? The creature that's naturally four-legged or the guy who can't feel
I'm
his
finally
legs?
at their level. That's what they've been waiting for.
Maybe that's your dog's superpower. You know, they have dogs that can smell when seizures are coming. They have dogs that can smell cancer. Maybe your dogs just smell whenever your
Smell
legs are asleep.
pins and needles.
Like, Dad's at a disadvantage. Let's go.
Let's get him. Let's fucking get him.
He tells my grandmother he's got a learning deficiency. Well, my grandmother was old.
Right.
So learning deficiency when she was younger basically
She
meant,
basically thought he was calling you retarded.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
and she lost her fucking mind. I was taken
Oh,
out of
yeah.
preschool.
I
I'm
think I
the
finished
only
preschool.
person I know that got taken out of preschool. And then as I got older, my grandmother still refused to admit that I had any kind of ADD.
Because she thought of it as like a weakness.
And
that is old school thinking, though.
all through high school, like you guys may even notice it now, I flick my fingers all the time.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that would help me focus in math class, just flicking my fingers.
Yep.
Because I'd have something to concentrate
get a
on
tick.
while I was watching.
Mm-hmm.
And
I did the same thing. I didn't take the because I stopped taking the Ritalin, so like I taught myself ways to deal with it. Like one of my things was I had to constantly ask questions.
Mhm.
Like no matter how boring the class was, if I knew I needed to remember it, especially if he was like, "This is going to be on the test" or whatever, I would just like basically involve myself. Like, and teachers found it really annoying, but usually they'd get pissed at me and talk to me about it. And I'd be like, "Dude, it's the only way." Like, and I couldn't take notes. If I started taking notes,
you wouldn't pay attention.
it was done. Like all I could think about was writing the notes. Like, so like I had a couple of teachers I had to sit down with them and be like, "Look, I know you want us to take notes. I know that that's what you're looking for to see if I'm paying attention. But if you see me over there drawing in my book and constantly asking questions, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not trying to like disrupt your class with my million questions. This is just how I've learned to deal with my brain."
There were a couple of my teachers, they would get freaked out when I was in high school because I'd be flicking one hand and writing and just staring at the board.
Yeah.
And they'd be like,
Oh,
they'd be like,
it's going to
"What
be the next
hell-"
Columbine.
Yeah, they'd be like,
Is he
"What the
gonna
hell is
snap in
this
a
kid
minute?
doing?"
Like-
and I'd just be writing, and they'd walk
And to
past,
be fair, if
and
you
I'd be
saw that,
writing
you'd probably be like,
perfectly at what
bad
they were
sign.
doing, but I'd be concentrating so hard, like I'd have people tap me on the shoulder, like, "Hey, Clyde."
Oh, and you were like
Not
in
now.
a trance.
I'm like, if I look away at all, the rest of my day is shot. This is first hour.
It's almost like a meditation, almost. Basically, that's like basically a meditation.
Oh yeah,
Like
and
you trained yourself to meditate.
that's just what I had to do. Like, believe me, I told my grandmother I was going to graduate at the top of my class. That did not happen.
But you graduated.
But no, when I told my grandma, I was like, I'm going to graduate with honors. She's like, just get there.
She was like,
slow your roll,
slow
player.
your roll, Pedro.
Fuck.
Graduated in the top 25% of my class. Stopped doing homework when I was a sophomore. That says something about the education system in my my area.
Right.
Man, I tell you what, this was my biggest struggle because, like I said, focusing is my biggest problem. I've got kind of two stories on that thing. On that.
Well, and yours is slightly different too, right? Because you have a busy mind.
Yeah,
right?
like
You just have a
I
busy
just
mind.
can't stop thinking over like everything.
Which is also why you have insomnia issues.
Yeah, exactly. But when I was going through medic class, I mean, that's stuff that you're supposed to like retain and
You
focus
have to.
on.
It's your job.
I could read the book 10 times, but if I was focusing on my instructor like showing us all this stuff, it for some reason it just didn't soak in. But if I was like doing my own thing and just listening to him at the same time,
like almost like back of your mind listening.
exactly,
Yeah.
that's when everything would just absorb and I'd be like, oh, I've got it now.
There are actually a lot of different techniques that people on the internet have released. It's I want to say it's called like subconscious learning.
Yeah, it's like subliminal almost. Yeah, makes sense.
And one of them is for each class, when you know you're going to have a subject that's going to be like, let's say you're taking a test, like you said, the teacher's like, this is going to be on the test.
Right. I hated it when they did that, by the way. I fucking hated it.
I did too, but I heard about
pressure,
this
man.
one after I graduated. I heard about this one, which irritated the shit out of me because it would have helped.
Probably would have been very
so
helpful.
much.
Yeah.
Gum, flavored gum.
Oh yeah.
Evidently, your mind will retain things without you realizing. So let's say you had a math class coming out or a math test coming out, and everything that was going to be on that test, you had chewed grape gum.
So you
Chew
don't
a piece of grape gum while you're taking that test, and you'll be sitting there.
Your taste and your smell are very similar.
Yeah.
And they always say like smells are some of the strongest memories.
Yep.
When people are like, I remember back in that, like the whole place smelled like this or that, and that makes you like almost go there.
Yep. Whenever I smell authentic Italian food and authentic Mexican food, my mind automatically reverts back to Cicero.
Yeah.
When I lived in Cicero for fucking years.
The guy with the long nose that like that's Cicero, right?
It's there's a lot
The Shakespeare character, I mean.
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh shit.
I was to say the town has
I think
a lot
he's
of
the guy with the
Italians,
long
a lot of
nose that
Mexicans.
like sat in the back.
Hey,
of the
boopity
bush.
boppity.
You know,
Family Guy.
I think Cicero was
Peter,
the guy,
You're not saying anything.
or he was the guy that the other dude was talking to. But you know the story, like with the dude, like he wasn't good with the ladies, so he got this other guy to like talk to him and like hide, and he would like say his lines.
But if you had a big nose, wouldn't the ladies
I think
just want
that's
to sit
Cicero.
on his face?
Well, yeah. So I think that the long nosed guy, Cicero, was the one he would hide in the bushes behind him.
They're in the bushes.
And then he was like talking up to her, like in a very Shakespearean way.
I steered clear of Shakespeare class in high school, and I didn't go to college, so
Right.
I know very little
I
about
didn't
Shakespeare.
go to college either. I just fucking showed up there.
We
and
went to
didn't do
college.
Shit. We didn't
went
go.
there.
We never went. We just hung out on campus.
We just have to get a high enough GPA to stay.
We failed with that too.
Mine was, I am the fuck out of here because this is not what I want to do.
Yeah,
Give
the
me a
bitch
year to
is-
figure it out.
I think the difference between like when you're an adult and when you're a kid still is you do things without thinking about whether or not they're really what you want to do, and like you get way in too deep because that's our problem. We got in so deep. We were there. It was like 3 months in, and then we were like, we don't want to do this. Like,
Well, and
we might as well finish out the semester at least.
This has always been my philosophy, and I'll get back to my story here in a second. My philosophy has always been do something that you don't do at home for work.
Right.
Because like I love working on
That
my
also
car.
goes the other way. Like, don't bring your work home and still do it.
Right. Like I love working on cars and stuff like that. And I,
Right.
like for the longest time I wanted to be in like
And I'm sure you've heard
automotive
that a million times. Like,
design.
why aren't you a mechanic? You love working on cars.
Exactly.
You never work a day in your life. Like, yeah, but then my thing I like would suck. You
Yeah,
know?
and that's the thing is like for the longest time I wanted to design cars, like I wanted to like learn AutoCAD, I wanted to do all this kind of stuff so that way I could be in production of vehicles or even open my own shop like
Right.
Speed Shop or
It'd
something
be
like
different
that.
if you were working for yourself.
I don't think so, because
it would still turn into work, though.
Yeah, because I'd spend all my time working on other people's things, and then I wouldn't want to work on my own things because I'm like, I already just spent 8 hours working on the same thing.
See,
right. But you could have a hobby. You could like be a show car guy.
Yeah.
That'd be different.
I personally
I don't
love
think it is,
working
man.
on appliances. That's actually one of the things I love doing. And I've had people ask
zen,
me,
isn't it? It's zen. It's strangely zen. I like that too.
I love it. Like,
I love working on small electronics.
Oh, dude, I wish I knew
anything.
about
I would love to be a watchmaker. Wouldn't that be fun to like make watches and fix watches?
No, there are actually two things.
You've done a little bit of that, haven't you?
That I will not do. Like I've thought about opening up my own appliance repair shop. I've thought about it. Not gonna happen.
It's a dead art too, because nobody fixes their shit anymore.
No,
exactly. Buy new shit.
We have a society. We have a throwaway society these days.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's
you go into any of those shops that are still around, and inevitably it will be ran by like a 70-year-old man, who is like, you can tell that the only reason that place is still open is because he's keeping it open.
But here's the
it's not making money.
The other side of that too is, things are made so cheaply now, the parts to fix something are sometimes more expensive than to just replace it.
Right.
Yeah. Most of the time...
being a mechanic is that way too. Like back in the day when I was a kid, like mechanics were like small businesses. Like you'd go to a dude's house.
Right.
And he'd show you to his garage and he'd fix your car. And, but now it's like you kind of can't make money as a mechanic unless you work for Chevy or one of those like big detailer stations.
Because honestly, after like 2005 and after, probably 2006 and after, you can't work on a car unless you have a $1,000 computer.
Yeah,
because everything runs off of sensors and everything else that you can't.
Yeah, and you can specialize in old cars, but that's a whole different thing entirely.
Yeah, exactly.
Because those old cars are just getting fewer and fewer on the road.
Yeah, and it's hard to get that job, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like it's like any specialty that you want to go into, it just makes it that much harder.
Yeah.
Okay,
so on the side of jobs here, this is my other story that I was going to get into on my focus issues. I had an interview yesterday.
Oh yeah.
I went.
What for?
For flight medic. So I drove.
I thought you were just going to be a dick and say a job, dick.
So I drove. Unfortunately, it's really far away, but it's one of those, like, if I can get it, it's at least a foot in the door where I can transfer
just pick
closer.
You up in a chopper.
Right. So I went down there, and I did one of these before. Well, if you're for a flight medic job, you have to have an interview with a panel of people. Like most of the jobs that I have, it's just me and one other person. And it's more of a conversation than anything. But this was 4 people sitting in a row at a table, and I was sitting alone at another table in front of them, and they were just asking me questions. And it was one of those.
That's a high pressure interview, man.
It feels. I
do well in like one-on-one interviews.
Yeah,
but those kinds, there's no room for you to get them talking.
Well, and I told him, I was like, man, I'll let you know now. Like, I'm nervous, and I even told him, I was like, I would rather right now be in a 10-car pileup with 20 patients. I can deal with that.
Yeah.
But being in front of you guys, this sucks.
Yeah, it's like being on trial.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it's like.
And they were like, trust me, we've been on that side too. We understand.
Yeah,
so
it's rough.
Yeah, like that's.
And they know.
Right.
They know that it's like rough, but that's probably one of the things too. They want to see if you can keep your head.
Right.
Yeah. See, that's another thing though.
Such a mind game.
Well, I heard somewhere a person doesn't quit a job; they quit their they quit the manager.
Oh yeah, totally.
And
I've quit a few jobs.
I was to say that is one thing I cannot stand, is when a manager of any kind loses touch with where they came from.
Oh yeah.
Like if you suddenly
or never had it to begin with. I've had guys that got hired into management and never worked their way up.
Exactly.
And those are almost never good managers.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's examples of good ones, but in my experience, I've never had a good manager that got hired manager.
See, I can think of one off the top of my head that was actually good at his job, and it was only because he was so young when it happened. He actually had the mentality of listening to the veterans of that job.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, a lot of people in this day and age, they don't have that mentality.
Yeah, I don't take orders from anybody that wouldn't do what they're asking me to do.
Exactly. Like where I work right now, if I do not understand something, a lot of the guys my age there, they don't seem to understand this.
Right.
Like I'm not winging it.
Yeah.
That's not gonna fucking happen because I wing it, I fuck up, I lose my job. That's food out of my family's stomach. That's a roof that's gone over our heads. It's a lot of problems. I will go up to the 6-year-old guy that's been doing this job twice as long as I've been alive, and ask him like, "Hey, man, this is the situation I'm in," and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's easy. Let's do this."
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, man. Walk away. I've had other supervisors come up to me who are younger than this guy, who are not much older than me, and go, "Well, okay, this one actually just happened the other day." When this he's another older guy, but I'm not really a huge fan of him. He comes up, he's like, "Hey, I just want to let you know I'm going home, so if you need anything, just go to Dave."
Oh. So you just proved to me that he is more of an authority than you.
Well, no, not just that. I have a real bad habit of saying things before I think about them.
Oh, yeah.
And I stopped myself this time because it would have been a problem this time.
My filter.
I stopped I was like, "Thanks for letting me know." On the inside, I was like, I was going to Dave anyway.
Right.
Like, you could be here, man, but I'm going to Dave, and he's not here. I'm just gonna go right back to doing what I was doing.
Thanks for the permission to do the thing that I was gonna do anyhow.
Well, and that's the sign of a good manager or employer is where people want to be there, not that they have to be there.
Yeah. Well, like, I used to work at Walmart, and this will bring us into one of the things we wanted to talk about a little bit. I used to work at Walmart in the photo lab, where it's like the photo lab is a cool place to work.
Did you ever actually accidentally do nudes there?
Oh, I have millions of those stories. Some of them which are fucking horrifying, some of them which are just funny. But I loved working at the photo lab because
what's he doing with a cucumber?
Because no one other than people that work in the photo lab understand anything. Because we were one of the last stores that actually had like a developing machine. Like it was automatic in a sense, but it was like it had chemicals inside of it that you had to like clean in a certain way.
Right, yeah.
And like you had to mix things correctly. It took a little bit of like specialization. So like even like anyone besides the manager of the photo lab knew nothing about it. So they come back there and they walk back and they're like, even like CEO boss type people show up and they just instantly, they know that they couldn't do what you're doing. So they just assume you're an expert in everything. So they never gave you any shit, which I always love that.
Right.
Like, but it was also kind of annoying because they'd ask you to do things and you know for a fact they had no idea what the fuck they were talking about.
Yeah.
You know, the good ones were the ones that were like, "Hey, I don't know what's going on. You do what you do. This is what I need from you." And then they would listen to me if I was like, "Actually, we can't do that because this," you know. Actually, but yeah, so here's a story. I got a few. So I've seen a picture like that was taken every 5 seconds of a birth. I saw like you could have played it like an animation. The guy was,
I have that.
Like all I can imagine is this poor woman is giving birth. What looked like a 5 or 6 hour situation, and her fucking husband was just like. Just like going around her for a different angle. Like, I mean, it was just like.
Caught a picture of her face and she was furious.
Like some 400 pictures. Just ferp, coming out of the fucking machine.
God.
And it was like, I mean, we're talking like money shot close ups. Like, I think the husband might have worked in porn or something.
The lighting is fantastic.
It is. It's just well done. That was fucked up to watch because we have to pick them up and put them in a folder. If nothing else, we at least have to do that much. But we were told to like every so often look at the pictures, like not in a creepy way, but just to like make sure some shit's not going down.
Make sure there's no kiddie porn getting developed
or abuse or something. We found a round of pictures one time off of somebody's disposable camera. Disposable cameras have the best shit on them.
Oh,
you never know. People that bring them in don't even remember what they took on them half the time. They're like,
I
still
have
in the back of the garage.
Cameras in my house.
Yeah,
I got no idea what's on them.
I can teach you how to turn it into a taser.
I want the pictures off of them. I think.
Afterwards,
I think.
Might not.
But yeah, we found some pictures one time.
Of those cameras I think I had before I met my wife, so
I
might not.
Right. This pictures of like this kid fucking like he had a bong in his hand and shit. Like it was really fucked up. We had to like send that to the cops, I think. But a really good story I have is I didn't see this, thank God, because I don't know how I'd feel about it. But it was like a young girl and a bunch of her friends, they were making a calendar for their boyfriends.
Oh.
Which is weird as fuck. But so we're not only is that totally wrong, because I've caught a few like older ladies, a few that like you wouldn't want to see making calendars for their boyfriends or husbands or whatever, and that's just like, you can't do that here. Get that off the screen. Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you? And there, by the way, all these stories, these people are doing that on the kiosks that are like right there in front of everybody. They might have been doing it on the one that wasn't facing the main aisle.
Going to a library to look up online porn.
Yeah, it's that amount of
Don't tell me how to live
what
my
the hell
life.
are you thinking, right? But anyway, so I was working, but I wasn't involved in it. Thank fuck. Like I said, I'm not sure how I'd feel about that. But I luckily, who was working was, I cannot remember her name, but she was a boss. She's like 40-year-old woman. She was also a teacher, like she substitute teachered and stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
And she walks up to the girls, and she happened to be like walking by and was like, "What the fuck?" And she was like, she walks up to them and she's
I'm
like,
guessing these were not of age.
No, they were underage.
Okay.
That was the biggest problem, because it's not only are you making a sexy nude calendar in a public place, which is bad enough,
right?
But they're underage, right? So she walks up to them and she's like, "Girls, I'm gonna cut you a break." She's like, "I'm gonna assume that you're too stupid to realize what you're doing is wrong, so I'm gonna explain it to you. One, it's indecent exposure. Two, it's distributing child pornography." And she's like, "If you don't want to be on a sex offender registry for the rest of your life, I'm going to need you to take that flash drive out and go home."
I don't understand this portion of it. You said that there was more than one?
Yeah, there was a group of them all making
So
a
were
calendar. Yeah, it was really-
together?
yeah.
So
Like they
were swinging.
They girls, they don't do anything alone. Like they had to bring their cadre.
they just wanted to make a calendar for their boyfriends so boyfriends could see them all
naked. Yeah.
What
confusing.
the fuck?
That was my issue too. I was like, I don't think.
How old do you think you were when this happened?
Was I?
Yeah.
I don't think
I
I
was
knew
like
any girls that
22.
were that good of friends.
I was like 22, 23.
Yeah. I'm just going to put this out here, dude. When I was in high school or high school age, nobody looked good enough that I could think of that I really wanted to see. It was like, well, high school maybe. Junior, like right after elementary school and junior high. I don't, there just wasn't anything there, you know?
It's out. Drew was a MILF guy.
Hey, Miss Roberts.
Oh, I had a couple of teachers, man. Whew.
Oh, you know, what? And this is, for some fucking reason, apparently making a comeback, is teachers fucking kids now. What the
Right.
fuck?
Yeah. No, that's actually one that irritates the shit out of me, because I hear so many stories about teachers.
Different if it's a college
fucking-
professor.
Well, teachers fucking underage boys. Like high school boys. And you hear somebody be like, "Oh, good for him. It was fucking awesome." I'm like, flip their genders real quick.
Yeah.
What if it was a grown man doing that to a high school
No
girl?
matter how
Exactly.
you, no matter how you shape it,
would
it's
you-
a huge abuse of
fucked
power.
up.
But that's
Like being your boss banging you or something. Like you can't have sex with your boss because
That's
she
why-
is in a power position.
Exactly. That's why they have those rules. Like in the job I work right now.
Never
If
screw
you
anybody
are-
that can ruin your life. That's good advice no matter where you
don't
are.
shit where you eat, man. Don't shit
right.
where you eat.
Honestly, I had that same rule. I broke it once. I'm married to her now.
Hey, me too. Me too. Although I didn't date my wife while she was my boss, before we dated, when I was married to my ex-wife, she was my boss.
Really?
Yeah, I was a cart
When-
pusher at the same job I was just talking about, and she was the CSM, which is like the front lead manager.
When, my wife and I met
Yeah,
while I was
like,
a delivery driver.
I used to like creep on her when I was like separated from my first wife.
My wife was a pizza maker. I was a delivery driver. Okay. She ended up leaving, going to...
I always thought the pizza delivery and like pizza place like landscape is so interesting. It's not like any other job.
Definitely strange, because
It's not like any job
You
ever.
hear some shit about people. You really do. Like and it's not, I mean, I'm just talking about your coworkers, because it's not a sit-in restaurant.
Right.
It's a no holds barred half the time.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
You got to figure. Sometimes customers do come in and they'll order a pizza, or they'll be picking up an order. Now, occasionally they'll order a pizza and then stick around until the pizza's done.
Well, not to mention you're getting paid cash half the time.
Yeah.
And if you're working for like a small business pizza, if you're not working for like Pizza Hut or like Papa John's or somebody, you're definitely getting paid cash.
Yes.
You're not getting a paycheck. You can't even put it on your taxes unless you try. You know, it's hard.
Gas money.
Yeah.
See,
Business
as delivery
expense.
drivers for bigger companies, like where I worked, you made $7.50 an hour, but you made a percentage of delivery fee, which was not much.
Right.
I'm talking about our percentage. The delivery fees have always been too fucking high, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Then you got paid for up to 200 miles driven a night.
That's good.
Not when you're the 10-hour a day Friday and Saturday night closer and you're putting about 500 miles on your car every night.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you're only getting paid for about half of it. Then it starts getting old. But in those nights, I'd be bringing home 60, 80, 90 bucks untaxed tips
Hell yeah.
in my pocket, like walking out. I think the most.
So you would deliver to businesses?
Oh yeah,
And they'd tip you?
The biggest
surprised
tip
they would
I
tip
ever
at all.
got was a $60 tip because I delivered $300 worth of pizza to Girl Scouts of America.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I can tell you this: like, if you deliver to a hospital, you get tipped at will.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I never did that, but I was
You've
privy.
been the other side of that,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah, no, they've actually been quite a few times.
Any
where
of those
EMTs
places where you can't get out, where they need you, they always tip well.
Oh yeah.
EMTs would call in, and we would like. It was kind of like an unspoken rule, I guess, with where I was working, where we would have EMT written on there.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if like the customer themselves
Police
said
is the same
something.
way. It's like the police station calls
But-
and wants a pizza delivered, you will fight people for that delivery because you know it's going to be a good one.
It's not just that. What I would do, a lot of the other drivers wouldn't do this. What I would do is I would automatically call the EMT and be like, hey, I'm heading to your current position. That way they have my number. If they have to go on a call, I will meet them at their call.
Sure.
Right. Yeah.
I'll tell them like, hey, where are you going? And
I cannot.
Go, I'm going here. I'm like, all right, I'll see you there, man.
I cannot tell you how many times like I've been even at fast food, just standing in line, just ordered my food, and all of a sudden we get a call.
Oh
it's like,
yeah. Do you remember
I hope
whenever
it's still warm when I'm done?
whenever you were just starting, like we would go out, we'd go out and do stuff, and it'd be like, beep, 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 and
That
you'd be
was-
like, see you guys.
Yeah, that was when I was doing the fire thing.
Yeah,
but,
like, well, night's over.
With,
I'll let you know when I'm done.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys are still awake.
Generally, that was the thing too. It was just like, see you. All right, catch you tomorrow.
when I was looking at that fast food joint that happened, there were some firefighters that came in, and where I worked, we're famous for the milkshakes,
Right.
and it was not Steak and Shake, by the way.
I was thinking Steak and Shake all the way.
It wasn't Steak and Shake, but there was a firefighter who came in. He got a lemon milkshake, and
Ew.
they're actually really good.
That
The
does
lemon
not sound
lemon
good.
strawberry is actually really good. Just saying.
He's running out. I felt so bad for him because I was bringing my garbage can in. They got a call. He is sprinting back to the truck. He and like 4 other guys, and he dropped his shake. And
Oh, no.
he went from tough ass firefighter to 6 years old. 6 years old. He was like, "Oh, I dropped my milkshake," and then kept going.
He reverted for a moment. It happens.
I yelled at him. I was like, "When you're done, come back. We'll replace it." And he's like, "You're awesome." I was like,
I will admit this, that I have actually drank a strawberry milkshake while working a DOA on a roadway. I hopped
man.
out of the ambulance,
That
walked
thing's not
over.
going to be good when you're done. You got to do what you got to do.
I hopped out, walked around. I don't know if I've told this story before.
There's
I
a
don't
special
remember,
place
but
in
that
hell
doesn't
for
mean
people
anything.
that do that.
Well, I was working with a partner who was inept, if would probably be the best term I could use. The dude would hold a patient's hand up to his nose to try to start an IV. Like,
Why?
I never saw him get one.
Nearsightedness or what?
Yeah, he wore these Coke bottle glasses, man.
Oh man.
And I always said that the first IV he'd actually get would be through his nostril.
Stop touching the patient, Trailer Park Boys.
But yeah, we got called for motorcycle versus well, it was actually called out as a pedestrian versus semi truck
oh.
originally.
Take your time on that one because
No.
he's not alive anymore.
Well, we got over there, and he was actually up to treat. And so I put I was putting the rig in park. I hadn't even stopped yet, and he jumped out of the ambulance while it was still moving.
Damn.
And I'm like, all right, well, I stopped it, put it in park, got out, put my vest on, walked around the side of the ambulance, and he is gone. I don't see him anywhere. And you can see where the guy is laying because he's got a freaking blanket over him. And I'm like, all right. So,
are ambulances, this is a really off-topic question, but I had like an inner brain monologue going, and now I have to know. Are ambulances stick shift or automatic?
Automatic, man.
Always? Yeah, I would think so.
Dude, how many people
Do you
can't
still
drive a
pull
stick
your-
shift anymore?
Yeah, right. Do you still pull your e-brake whenever you stop it? Like, because you've always had this thing. I've
it's a
noticed it since you
van,
were a
man.
kid. Like, but you do it like without even thinking about it in all your cars.
Well, that's
like, you
because
always pull your e-brake.
My cars are all stick shifts.
Right. Do you ever like want to do it and then be like, I don't have to do that?
No, my worst thing is when I switch from like my truck to my cars because I want to go like reach up to like put it in gear and I'm like, oh wait, right, wrong one.
Right. It's like when you're playing a video game that has like a weird control scheme, and then you switch to playing a different video game, and you still want to use the wrong buttons.
I broke my
Yeah.
windshield wiper thing doing that once.
Oh,
That is not what I was supposed to do.
Half asleep, just son of a
hell.
bitch.
Oh, I bet driving home at night is all about where that happens.
So like I said, I got out and he's nowhere to be found. I don't know where he went. I can see the security over there. So I just walk over to where the guy's covered up because I'm already in like mindset of it's done.
Yeah, because it's a guy that got hit by a semi.
So
Unless
like,
the semi was going like 5 miles per hour, there's not much that you can do for him.
so yeah, went over and like I checked it, like picked up the blanket, looked. Yeah, it was a done deal. All of a sudden, I look back at the ambulance, and my partner has everything but the cot strapped to his back, trying to freaking
God.
walk over. I'm like,
He's like, we're gonna save this man.
and I look at,
I mean, I guess good for him. I
I
don't know.
look back over at him, and I'm like, I don't know where you went, but we don't need to worry about a thing right now, okay?
Yeah.
And it wasn't a pedestrian. I found the motorcycle later.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was far away.
it was not good.
wow.
How long have you been an EMT now?
8 years.
Well, the reason I was asking is because there was some years ago, evidently there was a biker flying down Water Street, and he was going something like 110 mile an hour.
Yeah.
Some car pulled in front of him.
Ooh.
He almost cut the car in half,
Uh-huh.
and they
Wow.
scraped him off the road, something like 8 blocks away.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I remember that being a story when I was going through my firefighting training. They were like, yeah, so any bikers out there? And I'm thinking to myself, like, he's talking to me. Because nobody else in my class had anything to do with bikes.
When you
Like,
look up and
it
he's
was
looking
all
directly at
jacked
you,
up
and you're like,
trucks
oh.
and country music
There
and
was
hip hop and lowriders over here. Like, I was the only one in there with motorcycle boots on. I'm like, yeah, he's talking to me.
No, there was one that I worked that was a motorcycle, and he was on a crotch rocket, and he was flying, damn near cut a pickup truck in two.
Man, those weekend crotch rocket guys are dangerous.
The worst
Those
thing,
guys will get you killed out there.
the worst
Yes.
thing was the fact that the fire department was helping, like, get the guy packaged and put on the cot. Well, the firemen decided that they had to be like the heroes and walk the cot back to the ambulance. Well, they ended up walking it sideways, which you never do, and they dumped the cot with the guy on it.
Oh, no.
Insult to injury right there. Yeah,
Can
that
we
was
just
bad.
talk about crotch rocket guys for a second? Like, I feel like...
Douchebags?
Oh, okay. Like, I don't want to piss off crotch rocket guys if they're listening, but, like, I feel like no one rides crotch rockets that hasn't, like I feel like it's exclusively... It's the same as Lamborghini guys. Or...
Yeah.
They're
like,
doing it strictly for
what's
the
another... What's a
speed.
car like that? Like, it's just... Like, it's only people who don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like,
Yeah.
no one ever
Pretty
goes
much.
out... No guy who's been riding motorcycles for years goes out and gets themselves a ninja.
The closest
You
thing,
know?
the closest motorcycle I will even think about riding that even
I mean, I'd ride one for
resembles-
fun, but I wouldn't
Well,
get one. You
No,
know?
I would never even ride
I
one.
would fucking die. I have been riding motorcycles since I was 16 years old, I would die on a crotch rocket because I almost did once.
Yeah.
But the only one I will even look at and think about getting is a mid-'80s style Honda.
Yeah, I'd say mid-'80s style.
Because as they got...
late 70s to early 80s, Suzuki's, Kawasaki's, and Hondas were awesome because they were that middle ground.
Yeah. They were that happy middle ground, and then they started going into this, like, fucking leaning over the gas tank, all that shit, like the real inverted, sleek, aerodynamic style.
Interesting, though, is that same mindset doesn't transfer to cars.
Right.
It's weird. Like, I mean, because I guarantee you, if somebody pulled up in your driveway driving like a Veyron or something, like one of those crazy supercars, we'd be tripping over each other to try. And he was like, one of you gets to drive it. You have to fight to the death. Like, we do it. Like, I mean, I've would totally drive
car
one
kind
of
of guy. I don't really like the whole like sleek and shiny newer cars.
I would love to drive one of those cars. I mean, I don't know if I'd want to have one, mostly because I'm such an old man. All I can think about is upkeep.
Yeah.
The upkeep on those things is insane.
See,
like that's why lottery winners that buy Lamborghinis always sell them because they can't keep up.
Bugatti. Every year, every time you get a tune-up, it costs, I think, somewhere in the ballpark of $8,000 to $10,000.
You're contractually obliged not to just take it to some dude or do it yourself.
See,
Same with Lamborghinis,
because
right?
They have to take the back section off of it to get to it, and then they have to take the heads off so that way they can adjust the valves and put it all back
they're
together.
Not made to last. They're made to fucking scream. Those are 300-mile-per-hour cars.
There was a funny video of somebody in a Bugatti that was on like an access road and drove his Bugatti into a lake.
Oh man, that sucks.
I will admit, I'm not a huge fan of like those like Bugattis, Ferraris, Lambos. I'm not really a huge fan of any of those, but
I guarantee you had a Lamborghini poster on your wall as a child.
When you don't know.
Seriously?
Nope. The closest
probably
kind of like
what's
sleek supercar I've ever had was I had a bookmark with a Lotus on it. That's the closest.
Those aren't even like supercars anymore.
That's the closest,
right?
But I would give anyone's grandpa a sloppy hand job to drive a '69 El Camino.
Yeah. And El Camino, my dad used to have. This is before.
And if you bring me your '85 El Camino, I'm slamming my door in your face. Those are fucking everywhere.
My dad used to drive an El Camino. He also used to drive a '60s Impala.
Oh, that's
right.
Beautiful.
It was like his first car.
Man, can I just
his cousin wrecked it into a tree.
'67 Impala, so that way I could like redo Supernatural would be the one Chevy that I'd want to own.
Dude, yeah. How come it sucks that our dads had all the best vehicles? Like that age of vehicles was the best.
They were cheaper back then too.
I have told people this for a long time. I should have been born about 20 years before I was. Because then you could have gotten them cheap then too.
Oh yeah,
cheaper
anyway.
Yeah, I actually saw an ad yesterday on my deep dive in the internet for parts for stuff that it was like I want to say a '69 Ford Falcon with a 289 hypo, brand new from the factory, was $2,800.
Oh,
I'm like,
here's another one. I bet you guys haven't thought about this car in a while. There is really nothing special about it, but they're so fucking cool. I want to drive a DeLorean.
Yes.
Do you remember when there was that DeLorean that was made by cocaine. That bar? Remember that? There was a DeLorean in town. They had like parked it in front of this like auto shop or something. It was over by that weird little bar.
Yeah.
What was it?
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. DeLorean, the car that was made out of die-cast steel, got 12 feet per gallon and topped out at 88 miles per hour.
Did you know that there was actually, there still is, like you can go online and buy a kit, basically, and they'll send you the parts as you need them, and you can literally make your own DeLorean from the ground up. And it's surprisingly cheap. Like, because I mean,
so there's a kit car.
Yeah, it's a kit car. You can basically just make a DeLorean.
Oh. No, somebody,
and then you can customize it, of course, however you want.
All right,
purple.
Fun fact about
that.
They
sell a kit that actually puts on the parts that they put on the DeLorean, like the Back to the Future one. So you can actually like make the DeLorean.
This is okay. Fun fact is, two guys. If you actually Google Earth Maps, Google Maps, the DeLorean factory, there are hundreds of DeLoreans still sitting there.
Really?
Because he shut down the factory and just didn't sell anymore, so they're all still sitting there. But I think somebody actually came in and bought the entire thing at an auction or something.
Yeah,
so
I'm sure
he's been selling like the parts or selling all that stuff because he can't sell them as new cars anymore. So he's like selling parts and stuff like that. Another fun fact is Ford, when they made Back to the Future, and I love Back to the Future, by the way. It was one of my favorite movies. But when Back to the Future was being made, Ford came to the producers and offered them lots and lots of money to have the Mustang be the car. And apparently the director was like, Doc Brown doesn't drive a fucking Mustang.
Right.
So that's how the DeLorean made.
Right.
Did you ever hear the thing about Supernatural? When Eric Kripke was writing Supernatural, he had no idea what car he wanted to use. So he actually was a 67 Mustang as the original car.
Oh, no kidding.
And he talked to one of his neighbors who's a huge car guy. And he was like, hey, man, I'm writing the story. And he explained the story to him. And he was like, and I'm thinking about having him ride around in a 67 Mustang. He's like, oh, that's cool. Are they going to have matching purses? And he's like, what? And he's like, if you want a real man's car, what year was that? 67, correct? Yeah. He was like, go with the 67 Impala. And he's like, well, why? He's like, because you can actually fit a body in the trunk.
Those taillights on the 67 Impala are sexy as hell. That's all I'm saying.
Good looking car, man.
Oh yeah, the headlights and the taillights, man. That's what makes it. I mean, everybody's an ass and tits, man. Right. All right. Well, we got to close this one out, unfortunately.
Was that just? Oh, there's one topic we didn't get to.
We'll get to it next time.
Next time.
Fair enough.
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Where their hair
that wasn't bad.
Pretty.
I've never tried that. Like, I can do that guy.
Well, we thank you guys for joining us here today. We've had some fun. We've talked about some things. What I really don't know.
This show was just nonstop rambling today.
And it's always been mostly rambling, though. To be fair.
Yeah, but at least we got
like
some
if they've gotten
subjects
26
covered.
episodes in and they still like us, and then probably okay with rambling.
Right, exactly. We don't get too serious, because then it's gonna piss people off, I guess.
Right.
Ramble on. We have some friends that we need to plug. If you like stickers, morale patches, yeah. And
if anybody
t-shirts.
wants to send us a butt plug sponsorship, Drew will wear the butt plug.
Fuck you.
John will wear the butt plug.
Yeah. If it has a tail, John will.
This one's a raccoon and this one's a fox. We'll take pictures and put them online for you guys.
Visual gag. It doesn't work in a podcast.
Go visit medicelement.com if you want morale patches, t-shirts, cool stickers and stuff like that. Use the code MEDIC18 to buy one, get one free on stickers. They also have abilities to recertify for CPR.
Abilities?
Resources. That's the word.
I was like,
to
making it sound like they got like a power. Like, telekinesis?
They'll help you recertify for CPR, ITLS, PHTLS, and all that stuff too.
It sounds like a disease, PHTLS.
Yeah, right.
Like if you or someone you love has PTHLS, like
pre-hospital trauma life support, PHTLS.
Pre-hospital trauma.
That's usually what I go to.
I get pre-hospital trauma. I fucking hate going to the doctor, man.
If you guys want to be caffeinated fucks like us or me anyway today, go to Black Rifle Coffee and use the discount code 107 off duty at 107 off duty. I almost gave our yeah, use the discount code 107 off duty. Like us, subscribe, comment wherever you can, wherever you find us,
wherever you will.
Yes. Look us up on Facebook and Twitter, 107 off duty.
Pornhub.com/10
John's Wicked Tales.
Yeah, we got a deal. My Wicked Tales are exclusively on Pornhub.com.
I wonder if they
Andex hamster. He doesn't know about that one yet.
I wonder if they make a tail butt plug like Tails from Sonic the Hedgehog.
Tails from the. Oh, like with multiples?
Yeah.
Hold on.
You can also check us out on, or you can also get a hold of us at Gmail at 107offduty@gmail.com.
John, I would be horrified to read your Google search history, man.
You're right. You're not wrong. Is butt plug one word or two words?
I think it's a hyphen. I don't know.
Oh, God. Do you think I'd have more success in images or shopping?
I don't know, dude.
Images. Go with images.
Oh, God.
It's taking you so long.
There's a harness that you have to wear to make these things stay in, I guess. I don't know.
That's if you're loose.
Hold on.
Or a fighter.
Did you find one?
No, but I found something worse. Oh. It's a fidget spinner.
We gotta go. Say goodbye.
Oh, God. Oh,
Bye, guys.
Bye. It's a thing. I found it.